The first time I experienced it, it was entirely unintentional. A hand brushing against mine, a sudden sharp intake of breath, and a heartbeat pounding so fiercely, I was convinced my husband could hear it echoing from the next room. As I folded laundry in Jake's bedroom, my son's sanctuary, my hand brushed against the fabric, sending a shiver down my spine, and I quickly pulled away, embarrassed by the moment. A jagged ridge pressed against the worn fabric of his sweatpants, abandoned in the depths of the hamper. It was a mistake to have picked them up. My thumb pressed against the seam, a curious impulse guiding me as I tested the weight, a decision I would soon regret. Enrico, I did. In that moment of revelation, a cold wave of dread washed over me, and my stomach plummeted into an abyss of uncertainty. It was more than just big, it was utterly grotesque, the sort of sensation that ignited a fiery blush across my cheeks, leaving my breath tinged with an irresistible urgency. It's the sort of detail that lingers in a woman's mind, a whisper of awareness that she tries to dismiss. Even when that woman had been part of his life for so long, taken in by another family, not by blood but by bonds forged in the fires of adversity, a seemingly innocuous detail that would come back to torment me in ways I could never have imagined, I let the pounce fall to the ground as if they were searing my skin. Enrico, the image lingered, dense and oppressive, pressing against the fabric with an unyielding force, and it only got worse from there. A flush of heat crept up my neck, betraying my guilt, a heat that demanded attention, relentless and urgent. In that instant, I realized I should have turned and fled. I did not. 3 nights later, the sound of the shower echoed through the stillness, a late-night ritual that stirred something deep within me. Steam curled under the bathroom door, and through the hissing cascade of water, I caught the unmistakable sound of his voice, weaving through the mist like a haunting melody, heavy with frustration. A curse slipped through clenched teeth, barely audible yet heavy with frustration. I convinced myself it was merely a routine check on him. Isn't that the essence of motherhood? The door stood slightly ajar, a whisper of mystery lingering in the air. Leah, what was needed? Jake stood beneath the relentless cascade, his head bowed in silent contemplation. One broad palm pressed firmly against the cool tile. The other hand moved with restless urgency, his body tense with unspoken need, his shoulders coiled with tension, water cascading down the sculpted contours of his back. And that cock, jetting thick and flushed in his grip, promised so much more than what I'd ever felt through fabric. My lips parted, a silent invitation hanging in the air. My knees quaked with an unrelenting fear. Then, a deep, ragged groan escaped him, echoing through the silence like a haunting whisper. And a shiver ran through me, my breath catching in my throat. That was the second moment when I should have turned back. Instead, my fingers glided over my own dampening flesh, echoing his rhythm in a tantalizing dance. Stillness enveloped the air, starving, condemned. The floor let out a haunting creak. His head jerked upward, alert and focused. In the shrouded depths of the fogged mirror, our eyes collided, a silent storm brewing between us. We stood frozen, the air thick with tension. Then his voice, raw and heavy with desire. Mother, my name is Claire Montgomery, and to the casual observer, my life seemed like a shimmering dream that others longed to possess. In the heart of upstate New York stood a sprawling Victorian home, its grandeur echoing tales of the past. Within its walls lived a husband, a respected cardiologist whose hands had saved countless lives. Their social circle sparkled with the kind of women who effortlessly hosted charity galas and spent sun-soaked summers in the Hamptons, weaving a tapestry of elegance and ambition that enveloped their lives. Enrico, hidden beneath the sleek surface of my life, a profound emptiness lingered, a subtle yet persistent ache that had woven itself into the very fabric of my being over the years. Jorge Armando, my husband, was a man of unwavering goodness. At least, that was the street. He embodied discipline, radiated success, and exuded an unwavering politeness. Enrico, I discovered that the foundation of marriage was not laid in mere politeness. It rose from the depths of fervor, fueled by an insatiable hunger, born of a desperate yearning that eclipsed the very existence of everything beyond its grasp. And then there was Jorge Armando. It had been ages since Jorge Armando had cast those lingering glances in my direction. Our intimacy had settled into a monotonous rhythm, each moment unfolding with an unsettling predictability. As the night deepened, a gentle kiss brushed against the forehead, a tender promise whispered in the stillness before sleep embraced the world. The rare moments of obligatory intimacy left me gazing at the ceiling, a storm of thoughts swirling in my mind, questioning if this was the entirety of my existence. At 42, I sensed my body had become a relic, a captivating exhibit to be gazed upon from afar, yet never truly embraced, never genuinely desired. Shota was not bound to us by blood, yet he felt like a part of our very essence. We welcomed him into our home when he was just 16, a boy shattered by the sudden loss of his parents, old friends of Jorge Armando's, who had perished in a tragic car accident. In the shadows, he lingered, a brooding teenager with dark eyes that held untold stories. His sharp wit flickered to life only in the rare moments he felt secure, revealing glimpses of the brilliance hidden beneath his silence. As the years unfolded, he transformed into something truly extraordinary. At 22, he embodied lean muscle and an air of quiet confidence, his smile capable of disarming even the most guarded souls in the room. Enrico, in recent times, that unwavering confidence had begun to waver. It began with subtle shifts, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air, and the way he would stiffen at the mere mention of romance. As twilight descended, I strolled by his slightly ajar door, and the unmistakable sound of frustration pierced the air, a sharp exhale followed by the creak of his bed, echoing the tension within. It was a mistake to glance back. A sense of foreboding washed over me, a whisper in the back of my mind that I had ignored. Enrico, my insatiable curiosity has forever been my greatest vulnerability. The sight of him, shirtless, his back muscles rippling with tension as he gripped himself, sent a jolt of electricity coursing through my veins. It wasn't merely his stunning beauty, though that was undeniable, but the way his brow knitted together in frustration that drew her in. "Why," he whispered softly, the words barely escaping his lips, "why on earth is this happening?" His words hung in the air, unfinished, a haunting silence enveloping the moment. "Enrico," I grasped the truth. In his grasp lay the very source of his torment. Shota loomed large, not merely large, but grotesquely so. Thick and heavy, its sheer size made my throat go dry at the mere sight of it. And yet, beneath the surface, all I could discern in his expression was a deep-seated insecurity. In that instant, a perilous force began to awaken within me, because I felt it deep within me, a certainty that if I stepped into that room, if I allowed my fingers to glide over his shoulder and murmured, "Let me help you," everything would change. He couldn't bring himself to refuse. And in that moment, I felt an overwhelming desire to do so. Then, on a fateful night, the world as we knew it transformed completely. It was a Thursday. Jorge Armando was away on yet another business trip, a reality that had become all too common in his life. I had long since ceased to inquire about his true whereabouts. Shota's behavior had taken a peculiar turn throughout the week, leaving an unsettling air that hung around him like a shadow, restless, unfocused. I thought it was just the weight of college bearing down on me. The sound of the shower ceasing its cascade echoed from upstairs as I stood in the kitchen. The rich red wine swirling in my glass, anticipation tingling in the air. Moments later, Shota descended the stairs, clad in comfortable sweatpants and a relaxed t-shirt, ready to face whatever awaited him. His hair clung to his forehead, still damp from the recent downpour. He lingered in the doorway, a storm of unspoken words swirling in his mind, as if the air itself crackled with the weight of his hesitation. "Are you all right?" "Indeed," he shifted restlessly, a sense of unease washing over him. "Indeed, may I pose a peculiar question to you?" A sly grin spread across their face. "Stranger than that moment you attempted to persuade me that pouring orange juice over cereal was perfectly acceptable?" He remained silent, a shadow of mirth passing him by. His fingers drummed against his thigh, a restless rhythm echoing his unease. "It revolves around girls." Such words linger in the air, heavy with unspoken tension. I lifted the glass to my lips, the rich aroma swirling around me, and took a sip of wine, steeling myself for what lay ahead. "Absolutely, what's happening?" He exhaled sharply, as if he were battling to release the words trapped within him. A sense of overwhelming presence loomed within me, as if I were too vast for the world around me. A wave of panic surged through me, and I felt the air catch in my throat. What is happening? His face burned with a deep crimson hue. Not in that way, not at all. Downstairs, the shadows danced in the flickering light, hinting at secrets waiting to be uncovered. Oh, for a fleeting moment, I was paralyzed, caught in the web of uncertainty, unsure of how to respond. This was something deeper, a tumultuous storm brewing beneath the surface, far beyond the typical struggles of adolescence. This was the stark contrast, and he began to share his tale with me. It wasn't Jorge Cota, not just a college friend, me. I placed my wine down with deliberate caution. Shota, that's. It's not often that you hear guys voicing their grievances about this. He appeared utterly desolate. This is no laughing matter. Pain lingers, sharp and unyielding. Amidst the disorder of the moment, I should have put an end to this, I should have spoken up, told them this isn't right, and suggested we seek out a doctor instead. Enrico, I chose not to. Perhaps it was the wine that blurred the edges of reality. Perhaps it was the way his voice trembled, stripped bare and exposed. Or perhaps it was a fragment of my soul that had been yearning for even the slightest hint of attention, a flicker of emotion to ignite the darkness within. With a steady breath, I posed the question that would shatter the fragile facade of our reality. Have you ventured into any methods to ease the burden? His gaze darted to meet mine for a fleeting moment before slipping away into the shadows. Uncertainty loomed over me. A heavy fog that clouded my thoughts and left me paralyzed. The path ahead was shrouded in shadows, and I found myself at a crossroads, unsure of which direction to take. And that was the moment I laid eyes on it, the terror lurking beneath the shame. He was more than just a typical teenager, lost in bravado. Fear gripped him, a chilling sensation that coursed through his veins. I should have turned and left, but something held me there, tethered to the moment. I did not. The kitchen was suffocating, the air heavy with unspoken tension, not merely with humidity, but with an enigmatic presence that lingered in the air. A surge of energy crackled in the air, perilous. Shota lingered in the shadows, his weight shifting uneasily from one foot to the other. His fingers drummed anxiously against his thigh, a restless rhythm echoing the turmoil within. The pulse in his throat throbbed, quick and erratic, a frantic rhythm that echoed the tension in the air. A wave of tension washed over me, leaving my throat parched and my heart racing. This is utterly wrong. This feels utterly unjust. Enrico, the wine coursed through my veins like fire. The loneliness of the last few years clawed at me, relentless and ravenous, like a starving beast in the shadows. It had been months since Jorge Cota's hands had brushed against my skin. Not at all. Not in a way that held any significance. And there stood the boy. No, he had shed the remnants of boyhood, transformed into something else entirely. His gaze pierced through me, as if I possessed the secrets to a mystery he couldn't even articulate. Have you confided in anyone about this? I inquired cautiously, my fingers tightening around the edge of the counter behind me. Shota's head swayed in disbelief. His dark curls tumbled into his eyes, casting shadows that hinted at secrets untold. Whom should I seek out? Your physician? Who was the therapist? Anyone but me? Enrico, he had not. He had sought me out. I released a long, measured breath, striving to find my balance. Understood. Indeed, there are paths you can take, to simplify the journey. His brow furrowed in deep thought. What do you mean? Paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. The situation was spiraling into perilous ground. His gaze pierced through me, filled with desperation and trust, unraveling something deep within. Lube, I declared, with unyielding clarity. His cheeks flushed with a deep crimson hue. Ah, yes. I've given that a shot. It was time to put an end to it all. He blinked, his eyes momentarily closing, as if to shield himself from the overwhelming reality around him. Perhaps. A chuckle nearly escaped my lips. So close. Because it was utterly ridiculous. In the stillness of the night, I found myself, a 47-year-old woman, imparting wisdom to my adopted son, the weight of the moment hanging in the air around us. Enrico, beneath the layers of absurdity lay a deeper truth waiting to be uncovered. A surge of exhilaration coursed through the air, electrifying every moment. There was an undeniable tension between us, as we both struggled with unspoken feelings and uncertain futures. I propelled myself away from the counter. Stay right here. I approached the hall closet, my heart racing with anticipation, and reached for the small bottle hidden behind the spare towels. Years had slipped by since Jorge Cota last laid a finger on it. Uncertainty gnawed at me as I clutched the object, its presence a haunting reminder of something long forgotten. Perhaps it was merely a habit. As I glanced over my shoulder, I found Shota rooted in place, an unwavering figure against the shifting backdrop. Enrico, his gaze was fixated on the bottle I held tightly in my grip. Here, I declared, extending my hand with purpose. He grasped it cautiously, his fingers grazing against mine in a fleeting moment of connection. A surge of electricity coursed through me at the touch. Thanks, he whispered, his voice barely breaking the silence. I should have walked away, left it all behind. She should have whispered goodnight and retreated upstairs, leaving the world behind. Enrico, I chose not to. Are you familiar with how to wield it? The words tumbled from my lips, escaping before I had a chance to rein them in. Shota's head jerked upward, alert and poised. What is happening? Fool. Foolish. What are you up to? Enrico, the harm had already been inflicted. Enrico, the harm had already been inflicted. His gaze pierced through the air, locking onto mine with an intensity that was both dark and probing. My hands trembled as the heat of embarrassment washed over my face. If this is insufficient, perhaps you require something greater. The stillness enveloped everything, a heavy blanket of quiet that pressed down on the world. Weighty, choking, then in hushed tones. Unveil it before me. My breath hitched in my throat. Incredible. No. 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 Enrico, my body refused to comply. Heat surged within me, igniting a blaze that consumed my very core. Shota, we can't do this. Kindly. His voice was a gravelly murmur, barely breaking the silence. Uncertainty loomed over me, a heavy fog that clouded my thoughts and left me paralyzed. The path ahead was shrouded in mystery, and I found myself standing at a crossroads, unsure of which direction to take. And that was the moment everything changed, the last fracture in my determination. I edged forward, my heart racing as I drew nearer, each step a pulse of anticipation. His breath caught in his throat as I extended my hand, my fingers quivering as they brushed against his wrist. With a whisper, I guided his hand, drawing him closer into the moment. His skin radiated warmth. The warmth enveloped me like a comforting embrace. Uncertainty hung in the air, thick and palpable. As I stood frozen, caught in the moment, I couldn't tell who had made the first move. Perhaps it was my fault. Perhaps it was him. But in an instant, the distance that once separated us vanished. Our eyes met, and in that moment, I could sense a change in him, a realization that things had shifted. And she kissed him back, a spark igniting between them, the world around them fading into a blur. It was a mistake. The air was thick with grime. In that moment, I was more alive than I had been in years. His hands roamed with an insatiable curiosity, exploring every inch of the space around him. My waist curves like a secret, my hips sway with untold stories, and my hair flows like a river of midnight shadows. He drew me in with a force that left my knees trembling. I could sense him, every inch of him, pressed against me. And oh my God! He had spoken the truth, and the weight of it hung in the air like a storm about to break. Evelyn, he inhaled sharply against my lips. The moment he uttered my name, it reverberated through me, sending a jolt of electricity coursing through my veins. This was no mere drunken blunder. He craved this, yearned for me, and I craved him. I took a step back, my mind racing, unsure of how to handle the overwhelming situation. Do you truly believe that? With a low groan, he hoisted me onto the counter, the wineglass shattering on the floor below. It splintered into 1,000 pieces, yet neither of us felt a flicker of concern. What unfolded next was a whirlwind of hands and lips, accompanied by hushed curses that hung in the air like a tantalizing secret. His touch was awkward at first, filled with eagerness yet lacking confidence, until I took the lead, revealing the precise way to draw out my moans. And in that moment, the world around us disappeared, leaving only the weight of our choices. For despite all the meticulous preparation, he was overwhelming in every sense. I beheld a tapestry of stars, shimmering in the vast expanse above. It was undeniably wrong. It was flawless, a moment suspended in time. The dawn of destruction had arrived. The dawn that followed was shrouded in an eerie stillness. Silence enveloped the air, thick and suffocating. I stirred awake in the dim light before dawn, ensnared in sheets that still carried his scent. It lingered in the air, a heady mix of sweat, cheap body wash, and an unmistakable scent that screamed masculinity. A deep, relentless ache coursed through my body, awakening forgotten sensations in places I never knew could hurt, a tantalizing, pulsing echo of our shared past. What I would allow to unfold. Shota had vanished into thin air. The space beside me was a chilling void, an emptiness that whispered secrets of solitude and longing. The pillow remained almost untouched, a silent witness to the night's stillness. If not for the lingering ache between my thighs, I could have easily believed it was all just a figment of my imagination. Enrico, it was far from that. I rose gradually, a sharp twinge coursing through my body as the motion tugged at my sore muscles. Sunlight slinked through the blinds, casting bold stripes across the disheveled bed, hinting at the secrets hidden within the shadows. In the dim light of the room, Jorge Coda's bed loomed like a silent witness to the secrets and dreams that unfolded within its confines. The realization struck me with the force of a thunderclap. Oh, the divine. Oh, God. What have I unleashed upon myself? I stumbled into the shower, the scalding water pouring over me as I scrubbed my skin raw, desperately trying to wash away the haunting memory of Shota's hands on me. Enrico, the imprints he had etched were not the sort that could be easily erased. The breakfast table was a treacherous battleground. As I descended the stairs, the aroma of breakfast wafted through the air, and there was Shota, already in the kitchen, fully prepared for college. With his backpack casually slung over one shoulder, he stepped into the unknown. He averted his gaze, as if the weight of my presence was too much to bear. He gazed into a cereal bowl as if it contained the mysteries of the cosmos, lost in thought. I cleared my throat, the sound echoing in the stillness around me. As dawn broke, the world stirred awake. His fingers clenched around the spoon, a surge of tension coursing through him. Indeed, the stillness enveloped everything, a heavy blanket of quiet that pressed down on the world. The air felt thick, pressing down like a heavy blanket, wrapping around every breath and squeezing tighter with each passing moment. With trembling hands, I poured a cup of coffee I had no desire for. It all began last night. Stop. His voice was a gravelly rasp, each word a jagged edge that cut through the silence. Just don't, all right? Just as I prepared to voice my protest, the front door crashed shut, echoing through the silence. Jorge Coda returned home, the echoes of his journey still lingering in the air. Sweet nectar. Shota stood at the edge of the world, the wind whipping through his hair, a storm brewing in the distance. His heart raced as he felt the weight of destiny pressing down on him, the air thick with anticipation. What lay ahead was unknown, but he was ready to face it all. Are you there? Shota's head jerked upward, alert and poised for what lay ahead. His eyes were wide, brimming with a palpable sense of panic. For one terrifying second, a chilling thought gripped me. He might just run. But then Jorge Coda strode in, a grin plastered across his face, his airport stubble adding a rugged charm. As Shota's mask slipped back into position, a shroud of mystery enveloped him once more. Father, are you there? A knot twisted in my gut. Jorge Coda tousled Shota's hair, a gesture that transported them both back to a time when innocence reigned and childhood was eternal. I've been waiting for you, champ. How is the journey through college unfolding for you? Very well. Shota hungrily scooped cereal into his mouth, deliberately steering clear of my eyes. I have to leave now. Time slipped away, and the clock was unforgiving. Practice awaited, and every second counted. He burst through the door, leaving Jorge Cota in a whirlwind of confusion, the question of why the swim team dared to practice at 7 a.m., hanging in the air like a thick fog. Jorge Cota spun around, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. What's his story? She let out a strange chuckle, the sound echoing hollowly in the tense air, young souls on the brink of discovery. His lips brushed against my cheek, dry yet hauntingly familiar, igniting a spark of memories long buried. Are you all right? Your weariness is palpable. Reveal to him the events of last night. Absolutely not. In an instant, it flashed through my mind. I barely managed to sleep, I whispered, my voice heavy with fatigue. The following week stretched on like an endless nightmare. Shota turned away, his gaze slipping past me like a shadow in the night. Abandoned meals, lingering in the dimly lit study room, the hours slipped away as the group delved deeper into their books, lost in a world of knowledge and camaraderie. When we were thrust into a world where we had no choice but to share the very air we breathed, he'd stiffen, a primal instinct taking hold, like a creature trapped with nowhere to escape. His jaw tightened, a fierce pressure building as if it could shatter bone. I convinced myself it was the only way forward, that the darkness that had consumed us that night must remain hidden, locked away in the shadows. But then, as the sun dipped below the horizon on Thursday, Jorge Cota departed for yet another business trip, leaving an air of uncertainty in his wake. Shota stumbled through the door, the scent of alcohol clinging to him like a shroud. He sat on the back porch, the evening shadows wrapping around him, a half-empty bottle of vodka swaying precariously from his fingers. His eyes glimmered with a distant haze, and his shirt hung askew, a testament to the disorder that had unfolded. What in the world is happening? I seized the bottle with urgency. At the age of 22, life unfolds in a whirlwind of possibilities. His laughter cut through the air, sharp and bitter, echoing with a haunting resonance. Indeed, and you are my mother. It seems we were both mistaken. The word mom lingered in the air, heavy and distorted, like a shadow that refused to fade. I perched next to him, the chill of the wood seeping into my skin. We must discuss this matter urgently. Why is it that the shadows whisper secrets, and the air thickens with unspoken questions? Why does the heart race at the edge of the unknown, yearning for answers that dance just out of reach? Why, in the depths of silence, does the mind spiral into a labyrinth of doubt and curiosity? Why? He turned to me, his breath heavy with the scent of alcohol, a flicker of mischief dancing in his eyes. Do you feel the weight of regret? It was a statement, unwavering and absolute. I should have said yes, but the weight of my hesitation loomed larger than the moment itself. I should have lied. Enrico, the truth erupted, uncontainable and raw. Uncertainty gnaws at me, a shadow lurking in the corners of my mind. Regret, a haunting specter, whispers its riddles, leaving me to ponder the depths of my choices. His eyes fell to my lips, a silent tension hanging in the air between us. Deceiver. His fingers tangled in my hair, his lips pressed against mine, and in that moment I surrendered completely. Something about this moment felt unlike any other. Without a moment's pause, there was no guilt to be found. The heat and hunger enveloped us, accompanied by the slick, filthy sound of our bodies entwined on the porch swing. As we lay entwined in the shadows of the night, he whispered the words that would forever alter our destiny. The urge consumes me, relentless and unyielding. I can't either. Deceit stacked intoxicated, each falsehood a brick in a crumbling wall of trust. In the dim light of his room, Shota scrolled through the contacts on his phone, each name a carefully crafted illusion. They were fake girls' names, a web of deception spun to quell Jorge Armando's growing suspicions about his late-night escapades. Each entry whispered secrets of a life that wasn't his, a facade designed to keep the truth at bay. A fresh lock secured our bedroom door, a silent sentinel guarding the secrets within. The door to my bedroom stood as a barrier, a threshold that separated my world from Jorge Armando's presence when he was home. When, yet, the crack began to reveal itself. Shota's coach reached out, his voice heavy with concern over the string of missed practices. Jorge Armando's brow furrowed as he stared at the ominous credit card bill, a sense of dread creeping over him. When did you start indulging in the world of lingerie? And there was a moment, just a fleeting moment, when his name nearly slipped from my lips while lying in bed with Jorge Armando. We danced dangerously close to the flames, and the flames forever consume. It was a rainy day when Jorge Armando nearly discovered us for the first time. Thunder crashed against the windows, a fierce symphony of nature, as Shota pinned me against the pantry door, the air thick with tension. His breath scorched against my neck, his hands slipped beneath my sweater, igniting a spark of electricity between us. We had crossed a line into recklessness, in a state of utter desperation. The exhilarating rush of narrowly escaping detection had woven itself into the very fabric of the obsession. Enrico, in that moment, Evelyn stood at the edge of the world, her heart racing with anticipation. The air crackled with energy, and the shadows whispered secrets only she could hear. Every moment felt charged, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for her next move. In that instant, she knew her life was about to change forever. Are you back home? Jorge Armando's voice echoed, startlingly near. It was far too close. Shota stood motionless, his heart pounding in his chest. The air was thick with the sound of our ragged breaths, shattering the stillness around us. A floorboard groaned ominously in the dimly lit hallway. Just a heartbeat. Then. Against all odds. Echo of Jorge Armando's footsteps faded as he ascended the stairs, each step a reminder of his departure. Shota let out a shaky breath, the air trembling as it escaped his lips. His forehead pressed against my shoulder, a weight of unspoken emotions resting there. What a pity. I should have recognized it as a foreboding sign. Sign to a halt. I did not. 2 weeks had slipped by, the passage of time marked by an unsettling silence. The message arrived at 3:17 a.m., shattering the silence of the night. The darkness wraps around me like a heavy blanket, but sleep eludes me, slipping through my fingers like sand. The quiet of the night is deafening, filled with the whispers of thoughts that refuse to fade away. Step into my world. Shota's dorm room lay a mere 30-minute drive from the house, a distance that felt both close and achingly far. Foolish gamble. Enrico, I ventured forth regardless. That night, our date unfolded in a way that was unlike any other. He'd become harder, a simmering rage beneath the surface. His fingers closed around mine with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. You were with him tonight, he murmured, his voice low and laced with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. Jorge Cota had whisked me away for lunch, an extraordinary occasion. I remained silent. She arched her body against him, a silent invitation that crackled in the air between them, allowing the weight of guilt to ignite an insatiable hunger. As I slipped into my clothes under the flickering glow of his laptop screen, Shota uttered the words that would linger in my mind forever. My heart belongs to you. This isn't love for me. I do not desire you. I love you deeply. I pressed my lips against his, a desperate escape from the question that lingered in the air. It was Jorge Cota who stumbled upon the receipt first, its crumpled edges whispering secrets of a past encounter. The cost of the hotel stay loomed over her like a dark cloud, a reminder of the choices she had made and the price she would pay. A choice that was never mine to make. Who on earth is Shota bringing to the Marriott? At dinner, he leaned forward, a glint of intrigue in his eyes as he slid the paper across the table. Shota's fork clattered violently against his plate, echoing the tension in the air. She let out a hollow laugh, the sound echoing in the silence like a ghostly whisper. Most likely, a girl has too ashamed to introduce to his family. Jorge Cota's eyes narrowed. A storm brewing within their depths. Utter nonsense. Gaze upon him. Shota's face was as pale as a ghost. The stillness hung in the air, thick and palpable. Show me your phone, Jorge Cota demanded, his voice low and intense. Shota sprinted away, heart pounding in his chest. The front door crashed shut, echoing through the silence. The tires let out a piercing screech, and in an instant he vanished into thin air. Jorge Cota turned to me, his voice chillingly serene. You hold a secret, don't you? Refuse to acknowledge it. Ugh, act swiftly. Enrico, my mouth turned traitor. What you believe is only the surface of a much deeper truth. His fist crashed against the table. What could it possibly be? Emerging in fragments. The sound of water cascading down, enveloping everything in a soothing embrace. A dimly lit kitchen, shadows dancing across the walls, where the scent of spices lingers in the air, beckoning secrets from the past. A weathered porch, creaking softly under the weight of untold stories. Jorge Cota remained silent, held back tears. He sat there, his breath coming in sharp, ragged gasps, as if I had ripped the very life from him. As I completed my task, he uttered just 2 words. Leave now. Shota's dorm lay silent and deserted. The call was swallowed by silence, the phone ringing endlessly before plunging into the void of voicemail. With a swift motion, Jorge Cota turned the key in the lock, sealing away the past and ushering in a new chapter. And I too. I steered my car toward the motel, the very place where everything had started to unwrap. She arrived, the very same one noted on the receipt, and stepped inside, alone. The bed reeked of bleach, an unsettling scent that clung to the air, hinting at secrets hidden beneath the surface. The sheets felt rough against the skin, a harsh reminder of the cold, unwelcoming room. I huddled into a tight ball, surrendering to the waves of grief that crashed over me, the sobs breaking free like a storm unleashed. This is where it all comes to a close. On a fateful Tuesday, the divorce papers landed with a heavy thud. Jorge Cota stood there, an unyielding silence hanging between us, refusing to engage in the battle I had anticipated. Without lawyers, without the disorder of screaming matches, a manila envelope slipped silently beneath my motel room door, a note clipped to its front, beckoning with an air of mystery. Affix your signature. Do not reach out to me ever again. I followed the distinctive curve of his penmanship, each letter a whisper of memories long past, the end never sliced into the paper with a sharp precision, like a knife carving through flesh. 15 years of love and memories, now nothing more than a solitary signature on a dotted line, marking the end of a chapter that once held so much promise. Mark. What other choices remained? The relentless quest for Shota. The dorm room stood empty, stripped of its belongings, echoing with the silence of absence. His social media vanished into the digital abyss. The university merely stated that he had withdrawn, citing personal reasons as the cause. I raced through the streets, my heart pounding, searching every corner where he could possibly be hiding. The dimly lit record store where he discovered the treasures of vinyl, the dimly lit diner where we had savored milkshakes on that unforgettable summer day, even the park where it all began at 17. He confided in me, his voice barely above a whisper, that he felt like a specter haunting the very existence he once knew. Silence enveloped the space, a void where echoes of thoughts lingered, yet nothing stirred. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the world held its breath, waiting for a spark to ignite the stillness. In that moment, the absence of sound became a haunting melody, resonating with the weight of unspoken words and untold stories. The final sign of his presence lingered in the form of a solitary missed call. The clock striking 2:47 a.m. on the night Jorge Cota cast me out. I found myself paralyzed, unable to respond. Now, the voicemail was the only remnant of what once was. My heart burns with disdain for you, breath quivered in the stillness. I loathed that I still, a muffled sound, perhaps a sob. A silence enveloped the line. I played it on repeat, the words gradually fading into a haunting echo, their meaning slipping away into the shadows. Whispers danced through the air, secrets swirling like shadows in the dim light. It began as hushed murmurs, barely audible, yet laden with secrets waiting to be uncovered. Then came the headlines. A young man, torn by the weight of a forbidden love, escapes into the night after a scandalous relationship with the very woman who raised him. Our tale transformed into the kind of gossip that ignites conversations at cocktail parties. Can you imagine? Whispers of scandal surrounded those who had never felt the gravity of Shota's laughter, or heard the soft melodies Jorge Armando would hum in the shower. Leah, my sister, reached out, her voice cutting through the silence like a lifeline. Jesus, Evelyn, she whispered, her voice laced with urgency. A young man bound by blood yet separated by circumstance grapples with the complexities of his identity as a stepson. Silence enveloped the room as the call ended abruptly, leaving an echo of unspoken words hanging in the air. The motel bathtub felt cramped, barely containing the weight of the unfolding drama, while the nearly empty bottle of wine hinted at the disorder that had already transpired. I stared blankly at the spilled wine swirling in the water, a bitter symbol of my unraveling life, and I couldn't help but think, this is how it was meant to be. Such actions warrant a fate like this? Suddenly my phone vibrated, breaking the silence. A chilling notification flashed across my screen, a Google alert I had meticulously configured in Shota's name. In the heart of the city, a young man named Jay Hartwell, just 23 years old, navigates the complexities of life with a fierce determination. In the shadowy depths of Nevada, a fateful night took a turn for the worse as the sirens wailed, signaling unrest for Dewey. With a shattering crash, the bottle tumbled to the floor, its contents spilling out in a chaotic cascade. I pulled him from the depths of despair. He appeared as if he had just emerged from the depths of despair. Ugh, a vibrant tattoo coiling its way up his arm, each curve telling a story of its own, scrawled in fierce, jagged strokes of flame. Upon laying eyes on me, his expression contorted into something dark and unsettling. What brings you to this place? For the simple reason that no one else dares to step forward. His laughter echoed, a haunting blend of bitterness and despair. Incredible, how truly noble. I extended my hand toward him, the air thick with unspoken tension. He recoiled, a shiver racing down his spine. Don't, he spat, his voice laced with venom. You've lost the right to act like you care. You've lost the right to act like you care. The truth pierced like a knife to the ribs. In truth, I was never his mother. She was merely a woman, yet she dared to seize what was never meant for her grasp, handed him a stack of cash, a ticket for a journey into the unknown. He stepped onto the vessel, resolute, not casting a single glance behind him. He shot a defiant middle finger over his shoulder, a silent challenge hanging in the air, the final clue that revealed our shattered state. At this very moment, under the dim glow of flickering neon lights, I spend my nights at a gas station, nestled along the desolate stretch of IE. Without a trace of makeup, there were no designer clothes in sight. Leah, a name tag reading Linda, a silent resistance against the haunting echoes of Evelyn that I could no longer endure. In the stillness of the road, when the world fades into silence, I allow the memories to wash over me. The moment my fingers brushed against Shota's skin, I felt his breath catch, a sharp intake that spoke volumes of the tension hanging in the air. In a moment that would forever be etched in their hearts, Jorge Armando knelt on one knee, the world around them fading into a blur. With a trembling hand, he revealed the glimmering ring, its brilliance reflecting the love that had blossomed between them. The air was thick with anticipation as he spoke the words that would change their lives forever. Each kneeling in the relentless downpour, a wild grin spread across my face, as if the world around me had faded away, leaving only the exhilarating away. Rush of the moment, as I pour steaming coffee for the weary truckers, I masked the tremor in my hands, a silent battle raging within me. Was it truly worth it? Indeed, but that's the essence of ruin. It remains indifferent to your regrets. And so, the tale of Evelyn reaches its poignant end. A haunting tale of despair, isolation, and fateful decisions that can never be undone. In the depths of this tale, a lesson emerges, waiting to be uncovered. Once a door swings open, it seals its fate, forever barred from closure. What choices would you have made if you were in Evelyn's shoes? Could you have turned your back and walked away? We invite you to share your thoughts in the space below. In a world where every choice hangs by a thread, we teeter on the edge of transformation. One reckless decision, away from morphing into a stranger in our own skin. In a world where desire ignites passion and betrayal lurks in the shadows, the narrative unfolds a labyrinth of moral dilemmas. Each twist and turn unveils the intricate web of human nature and the delicate threads that bind relationships, leading to revelations that resonate deeply within the soul. At its heart, the story unfolds as a haunting reminder of the perilous allure of forbidden desires and the irrevocable harm wrought by self-serving choices. It vividly portrays how fleeting indulgences can spiral into enduring ruin when they transgress essential moral limits and societal norms. The characters' journeys reveal a haunting truth. Crossing certain lines, especially those entwined with familial trust and societal expectations, doesn't merely fracture relationships. It irrevocably reshapes one's identity and ability to find joy in it. The future, etching deep scars that no amount of remorse can ever erase. Evelyn's fall from the heights of social prestige to the shadows of a lonely motel clerk paints a haunting picture of how a cascade of poor decisions can dismantle a life. Each choice, seemingly small at the moment, ripples outward, revealing the heavy toll of fleeting pleasures. Meanwhile, Shota's tragic decline illustrates the peril of being thrust into the complexities of adulthood too soon, stunting his emotional growth and forging unbreakable bonds of dysfunction that will haunt him forever. Jorge Armando's transformation reveals the insidious nature of betrayal, a venom that seeps into the very core of trust, tainting his capacity to forge genuine connections even as he appears to have moved on. The narrative compellingly reveals that certain moral boundaries are rooted in deep psychological and social truths. When these boundaries are crossed, the repercussions ripple outward, inflicting harm that reaches far beyond the immediate individuals involved, disrupting entire webs of relationships and communities. The characters are ensnared in a web of their own making, where the elusive promise of redemption slips further away with each passing moment. Their transgressions cast long shadows over their lives, leaving them to grapple with the haunting weight of their choices, forever trapped in a solitude that denies them the warmth of happiness. The tale unfolds with a haunting clarity, revealing that while human desire is a force that can be grasped, its unchecked nature, particularly when it endangers others, ushers one into a tormenting abyss, a realm where memory and regret intertwine, ensnaring the soul in a relentless struggle. In the end, the narrative reveals a haunting truth. Certain deeds linger in the shadows, forever marked as unforgivable, not due to societal dictates, but because they shatter something deep within both the perpetrator and the victim, leaving a wound that time cannot mend. The destinies of the characters reveal a haunting truth. When we place our selfish desires above our moral duties, we not only forfeit what we cherish, but we also strip away our very essence, extinguishing any hope for joy that lies ahead. The complete absence of any positive outcome from the relationship stands as a chilling reminder against the allure of forbidden relationships, revealing the harsh truth that reality can shatter the fantasies we weave. The narrative unfolds to reveal that genuine morality transcends mere rules. It delves into the profound understanding of how our choices ripple through the lives of others and shape the destinies of our future selves. Through the haunting portrayal of each character's irreversible scars, the narrative reveals a chilling truth. Some mistakes are not mere lessons learned, but rather unending life sentences that bind them to their pasts. The utter annihilation of the three lives entwined reveals a haunting truth. When moral boundaries are established for a purpose, breaching them does not usher in freedom, but instead plunges one into deeper, more agonizing forms of captivity. The tale's strength emerges from its unwavering stance against simple redemption, compelling readers to face the harsh reality that certain injustices cannot be corrected. Leah born with resilience. In its raw and unyielding exploration of consequences, the tale weaves a powerful argument that self-control and respect for boundaries are not shackles on freedom, but rather shields against unfathomable anguish. The character's struggle to break free reveals the haunting truth that moral transgressions can forge psychological prisons, far more suffocating than any chains of steel. The narrative unfolds to reveal that genuine adulthood lies in the profound understanding that not every desire, no matter how passionately it burns, should be pursued. The narrative unfolds, revealing the haunting consequences of each character's choices, a stark reminder of the perilous allure of the belief that some rules are meant to be shattered. The stark void of any silver lining in the aftermath deepens the conviction that certain actions are deemed wrong, solely due to their irrevocable consequences. The story's conclusion plunges readers into a haunting yet vital truth. At times, the only path to victory is to refuse to engage in the game altogether.